October is SIDS Awareness Month. SIDS, which stands for Sudden Infant Death Syndrome, is the reason it's so important to understand what it means to practice safe sleep. One of the recommendations you'll see around safe sleep is room sharing with your baby, but with the baby in their own sleep space, meaning in their own crib or bassinet. With some babies, room sharing truly makes sleep easier. And for others, it makes sleep more challenging. And I would say that's true for all parties involved with the room sharing. Today, I want to help parents figure out if room sharing is helping or hurting their baby's sleep. If you have wondered if room sharing is possibly contributing to sleep struggles and or you're not sure about when exactly you want to transition your baby out of your room and into their own room, this episode is for you. Hi, I'm Allison Egidi, a pediatric sleep and wellness coach and a mom of two. I love to help parents find solutions. This is How Long Till Bedtime. While there are several other recommendations for reducing the risk of SIDS, the top four most parents will see around practicing safe sleep and reducing that risk of SIDS are: one, have baby sleep on their back; two, make sure baby's sleep space is free of things like bumpers, pillows, blankets, toys, etc. Three, have baby sleep in their own crib or bassinet on a firm, flat, and level mattress with just a fitted sheet. And four, have baby room share with a parent or caregiver for their first 6 months. Generally speaking, the first two are pretty straightforward. Don't put anything in the crib or bassinet and put your baby down to sleep on their back. Where I see some families really struggle are with the other two, and sometimes these struggles are linked without parents even realizing it. Some babies are very resistant to or struggle to sleep in their own crib or bassinet. I fall into the camp of truly believing that babies are born with varying levels of natural sleep talent, meaning for some babies, flat, independent sleep comes pretty easily. And for other babies, it's a real struggle and something that they need to learn how to do as they grow and develop. I think we all know someone, maybe more than one person, who just put their baby in their crib or bassinet and they slept well. And those people are wondering, I don't know why everyone thinks this sleep thing is so hard. And I also think we all know someone who has a baby who instantly wakes up and cries if they are put in their crib or bassinet. And they really struggle to get any length of sleep in their crib or bassinet. Now, those are the far ends of the sleep talent spectrum. And then, of course, there is everything in between. If you don't have a baby who naturally sleeps well in their crib or bassinet, that third recommendation of only having them sleep in their own safe sleep space at night can be very challenging. And when you're in that situation, that fourth recommendation of sharing a room with your baby is either a lifesaver or a contributor to the short stretches of sleep. And if that's the situation, I want to help parents connect these dots. Those babies who are fairly naturally inclined to sleep well will likely room share fairly easily until they are 6 months and maybe even beyond. This was the case with my second daughter. She was sleeping through the night at 8 weeks, and we had no issues room sharing with her until she was 6 months. In fact, I would say it was delightful. I loved having her nearby, and she could have stayed longer, but at 6 months, we decided it was time to shift her out. On the other hand, for those babies, like my first daughter, who aren't as naturally inclined to sleep and who are often more sensitive babies, sometimes room sharing can actually further contribute to their sleep struggles. Room sharing can result in more wakings, and it can make it more difficult for babies to put themselves back to sleep or even be put back down into their own sleep space. I fall into the camp of believing that babies are really quite aware of our energy, which means I think they definitely are aware of the fact that we are in the same room with them at night. They can also smell us, which I know is so sexy to think about, particularly when you're a breastfeeding mother. While this may be comforting and help some babies sleep well, for other babies, it can result in the baby waking more often and then having a harder time going back to sleep unless you intervene, meaning you rock them, you feed them, or you hold them to get them back to sleep. And sometimes it can be very, very challenging to get these babies back into their own independent sleep space. And then the reality that so many people tell me they don't want to admit, or they're embarrassed to admit, or they feel badly about, is that these are the parents who are more likely to end up co-sleeping out of desperation, not out of choice. I know there are parents who choose to co-sleep, and that's not what this episode is about. That is a choice, and I think we are all allowed to make our own choices for what's best for our family. But a lot of parents who never planned to co-sleep, that was not a choice they wanted to make, they end up co-sleeping out of pure desperation. And while I am a supporter of the idea of room sharing in the early months, if room sharing is contributing to more wakings and those challenging wakings are resulting in undesired co-sleeping, I think it's worth testing out whether a baby would sleep better in their own room. Because when you're weighing the risk of SIDS, co-sleeping seems to be more of a risk than having a baby sleep in their own independent space in their own room. With my first daughter, Addison, room sharing became more and more challenging as the weeks went by. It felt like she woke up every time my husband or I moved in the room. If we just rolled over in the bed, she woke up. And then we had a really hard time getting her back to sleep and back into that pack and play. This did end up resulting in me co-sleeping at times with her, particularly in the second part of the night, because I felt like I literally had no other choice. So I had not planned to co-sleep. I did not want to be co-sleeping, but there were absolutely times where that's what I did out of desperation. As that started to increase, we ultimately decided to move her to her crib in her own room before she was even 4 months, just to see what would happen and to see if I could get more sleep. And while it certainly didn't fix all of her sleep struggles, there was a noticeable improvement in both her sleep and my sleep, and it really reduced how often I had to fight that struggle of, oh my gosh, should I just bring her into bed or can I get her back into her own crib? If you're wondering if room sharing is contributing to your baby's frequent wakings, and possibly also contributing to you co-sleeping more often than you would like to, the good news is that you can test this out and get a fairly quick answer as to whether or not room sharing is contributing to the sleep struggles. If you have your baby sleep in their own room, in their own safe and empty crib or bassinet for just 1 or 2 nights, you're going to get the answer. If your baby wakes less and that results in everyone getting more sleep and or reducing co-sleeping, then you may want to consider moving your baby to their own room earlier than you may have initially planned. Like with many things, I think knowledge is power, and I think knowledge can help you weigh risks. Ultimately, you know what is best for your family. If you think it's absolutely best for your family to room share until your little one is at least 6 months, then you should do that. If, however, you think everyone getting more sleep in their own space reduces undesired co-sleeping and or helps your mental health and well-being, then it may be in your family's best interest to try that out. And you can always change course if it doesn't feel right or help the situation. And of course, this is something that's great to discuss with your child's pediatrician. All right, thanks for joining me again today. I hope you'll come back again next week. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to How Long Till Bedtime. To learn how we can work together to improve your child's sleep, please visit sleepandwellnesscoach.com.